Happy Sunday morning, everyone. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on today's live because it's Sunday morning, but also my tip that I want to share with you is pretty short, sharp and sweet. You know, it's such a common thing that I see when people come into clinic and they might have something with their health specifically going on. They might have something going on in their family, so something more emotional. Those kinds of things always tend to affect you physically in your health anyway. But you can get yourself into that real state where you feel a bit lost, like you just don't know what to do. How do I help myself support this? How do I help myself through this? How do I sort this out? So what are my resource tools? And one of the first things I'll say to people is, have you done cortices? And they'll go, no, I forgot. And it's something that I even was doing a lot of prior to this year. So what I realized was happening was that sometimes you can get so consumed or overwhelmed, or you're so in something, whatever it is that's going on, that you fail to be able to see and remember the resources that you have around you that could really support you in that moment. So I developed and designed a A4 page. It's a printable one. If you want it, by the way, you can have it because you can add your own to it. So I can send it to you in an email. Is that, morning Bambi, is that it's designed as a resource list so that if you do get into a bit of a funk, if you do get stuck, if you are unwell, if something happens in your house or in your life with work, whatever it is, and you think, oh my gosh, what do I do? Then you've got this resource list that you can refer back to. And you have listed on there all the things that you could do right in this moment that could help you and support you. Now, you don't have to do all of them. I've got probably about 17 things outlined on my resource list that I know that are fail-safes. Like I can go to them and do them and they'll really, really support me in that moment. The top of that list, number one, is the Cortices technique, because it's the bomb that works and is so effective for pretty much everything that I could possibly imagine when I was looking at doing my resource list. The other things that I've got on there are simple things like going for a swim in the ocean. Some of you don't live anywhere near the ocean, but you could do a foot bath that has sea salt in it or Himalayan salt, which is really, really nice. Other things that I have on mine are walking around outside on the earth with no shoes on, so bare feet, which is super, super important for grounding and for ridding the body of free radicals. Sitting out in the sun for 20 minutes, you know, we need that vitamin D. It's so important. Having a sleep, watching a comedy movie, spending time with friends, grabbing a coffee with a girlfriend. There are tons of stuff on my resource list that I have on there so that if something does sweep through and in that moment I'm finding it hard to navigate my way through it, I can refer back to that resource list. Now yours is going to look completely different because you're going to put on there, number one will be cortices, number two can be whatever it is that has worked for you in the past. But also the beauty of having it as a PDF and a list is that as you come into contact with new things, like you might find some really nice meridian balancing techniques, or a technique to balance the nervous system in addition to cortices, especially if you've done access, then you have another 4 or 5 techniques that you can add on to that to support yourself. It's the access protocol. And so you can build your list with that and you've got something to resource it to. The other thing that I find is that people can then tend to get overwhelmed with the list because they're so uncomfortable with the process that they're going through. And that is another conversation altogether. It's the more uncomfortable you are with what's going on, the stickier it will be, the longer it will stay around, the harder you will find it to be able to process whatever it is that's happening. So immersion into it, the experience, is quite often extremely effective and will help you shift through it a lot quicker. But people will look at their resource list and they will try to do everything and multiple times over and over. And my suggestion then to that is to go with your gut instincts. So when you're looking at this list, feel it from your gut area, what it is that you need to do. Look, I'm going to do another talk and I'll do some type of a small workshop or something on that, because that's something that really people struggle with as well, is being able to connect in with that third brain, be able to ask questions and seek navigations from that third brain. But ultimately, that's where we want to be asking questions from and making decisions from, is from that gut brain, definitely. So you can ask from that perspective of the gut brain, which on your list of resources is a priority for you right at that moment. It might be eating a bunch of, green leafy vegetables because of the nutrition content that feeds into your body and can, lift those levels of really good chemicals that we want the brain to make. It can be any number of things, but you want to know which one is a priority for you so that you're not mucking around, wasting time doing all of them, and when it could actually be having an adverse effect for you, okay? So my tip is to build a resource list. If you would like to see the one that I've created, I can send it to you. You can print it off and then write your own in. I actually went so far as to frame mine, so I have it in 2 different areas of the house. And I've noticed that the kids have used it as well, so that if they've come home from school and they're not feeling good or something like that, then they'll intuitively pick something off the list and they'll go do that, and it really helps them through their process. So let me know how that works for you. Definitely try it. The other thing that you can do is build your resource list on your phone, because it just seems to be one of those constant things that everyone has in their life at the moment. And I actually have my resource list on my phone as well, so that I've got it when I travel and I leave home. Beautiful. Okay, let's go ahead and start cortices. So, placing my hand at the base of the brain. Here was me saying I wasn't going to do a long live today. Oops. Nice big deep breaths. The attention is on the head brain. The intention is that we're improving communication and circulation between all regions of the brain, between both hemispheres of the brain. We're tapping over all 3 brains. I'll send you a copy of the list, Bambi. Move your hand up to the next hand position. It's a bit of a creative list, because I'm not massively big on lists and spreadsheets and documents and stuff like that. So it has to have colour and it has to have some creativity in it for me to be able to go through that process happily. So you'll find that it's a bit of that. Moving your hand up to the next hand position. Just make sure that your hand is nice and wide and open, that it's connecting with both hemispheres of the brain. Just going to do one more here. Onto the temporal lobes. Remember, fingers are close together, hands run from front to back. I'm going to take both hands away today. So I'm going to pretend that my hands are in gloves. I'm going to slide my hands out of the gloves, and then I'll go ahead and tap this in over head brain, heart brain, gut brain. I feel much better already. Beautiful. Happy Sunday, lovely people.